Well there, students, we're going to go over 14.2, the law of cosines. So we always want to use the law of sines first. If we can't use the law of sines, then that's when we'll use the law of cosines. The biggest thing with the law of cosines is you want to check and say that your side and your angle need to match. So your side and your angle are the ones that need to match. So if I said, hey, I want to solve for this side here, then I know I'm going to have to use the cosine of this angle. And vice versa, if I wanted to solve for, say I want to find this angle, then I know I'm going to use this side will be my starting side as I go through. So just notice these two are the ones that need to match up. These other two actually won't matter the order in which you put them. So again, like the Pythagorean theorem, we got to know the hypotenuse. The other sides don't matter. Similar idea as we go through it. So we'll go through these. I have 3 examples for you, one in which we'll find the angle measurement. So if I look at this, the first of all I say is we want to use the law of sines. If we can't use the law of sines, that's when we use the law of cosines. But law of sines is preferable. So if I were trying to use the law of sines, I would say the issue is I have no side and angle that match up. So I don't know this angle that matches up with this side. This sine doesn't match up with this one. If I were to set up the law of sines, sine 100 over b, and I wanted to solve for, let's say, angle A, I'd have to go sine of angle A over 7. Now I have 2 variables, 1 equation, we can't solve them. So that's the issue. You check, you see it can't do it. So we want to solve for it. I know that the measure of this angle right here. So I'm going to solve for side B first. So B and 100 go together. So B squared will equal, and then at the very end I know it's going to be cosine of 100. And now we just follow our rule. It says so B squared, so I have A squared, my other 2 sides, so 5 squared plus 7 squared. Doesn't matter the order you put that. Then it says minus 2 times A, or times C, and again, doesn't matter. 5 times 7 is the same as 7 times 5 times cosine this. Now, the nice thing about this, B squared equals, if I look at this whole side, I know all this out. So I could do it step by step. So this would be 25 plus 49 minus 70 times cosine 100. Like, these are all knowns. So I can just type this right into my calculator. And if I do that, if I type that all into my calculator, I'm going to get B squared equals 86.2. So I type that all into my calculator, and then I have B squared, so I take the square root of that. So the square root of that is 9.3. And now I have this side that I know. Once I do that, I'm going to use the law of sines now to solve for the rest of it. So I want to solve for, I know this side, and this side. So all I need to do is find an angle measurement. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up. We'll do it this way so you can see the difference. So I'm going to go ahead and do sine of 100 over 9.3 equals, and we'll solve for A. The sine of angle A over 7. So again, I want to find the measure of angle A. I know I'm going to have to do the inverse sine. So when I do this, this is just 7 times sine 100. There you go. Equals 9.3 times sine of A. So I divide by 9.3, divide by 9.3. So when I do this, just to let you know, if I go 7 times sine 100, when I do that, and I'm going to do the inverse sine of all of this, sine inverse. When I come and do that, I'm going to get 48 degrees. So 48 degrees equals A. So again, that canceled off. We want to find the sine of an angle, so we have to do the inverse, and we get 48 degrees. So that's 48 degrees. So if I want angle C, I go 100, 180, minus 100, minus 48 degrees. And when we do that, we end with 32 degrees for C. So this equals 32 degrees. So we get C is 32 degrees. So we got 48 degrees, 32 degrees, and we found our length 9.3. If we go to this example over here, here's the issue. We don't know an angle measurement. We don't know any of the angles. So we're going to have to use the law of cosines to get it. Again, I can't use the law of sines. That would be my preference. So it's your choice as far as which one you want to do first. We're going to go ahead and we'll start with angle A. Okay, so I just chose A. The side opposite is 10.5, so I'm going to start off with 10.5 squared equals. At the end, I'm using cosine A. So those are going to be first and the first thing and the last thing. Then I go 12 squared plus 6.3 squared. Again, doesn't matter, those two order. Minus 2 times 12 times 6.3 times cosine of angle A. So you're going to go ahead and simplify this. And so when you do, you get this as 110.25. Now, some of this stuff I'm just going to simplify pretty quickly as I go through this. So step by step, and then the next one I'll kind of skip ahead. So that's 39. This is 144 minus 151.2. So then we combine these. I can add these together. I can't subtract this 100 because it's 100 times cosine A. So cosine A is attached to that. So when I go ahead and do that, I get 183.69 minus 151.2 times cosine A. So then I subtract this 183.69, subtract the 183.69. And so when we do that, we get negative 73.44, negative 73.44, equals, keep the sign with that. That's a negative, or 151.2 times cosine A. So it's times cosine, so I divide by negative 151.2, divide by negative 151.2. And so when I get that, when I divide, I get this is equal to 0.49 equals cosine A. So again, if I want to take the cosine of an angle and it's unknown, I'm going to do the inverse cosine. So it's going to be cosine inverse of 0.49 equals A. And so we know that that angle measurement now is 62 or 61 degrees. So now we got A. A is 61 degrees. Now, once I have that, now I'm not going to use the law of cosines again. You saw cosines takes a little bit more time. I'm going to use the law of sines. I'm going to set up my proportion. So now I know angle A. So I'm going to say sine of 61 degrees over 10.5 equals, you choose your next angle. We'll go B. So we'll go sine of B over the side opposite, 6.3. Cross multiply, so 6.3 times sine 61 equals 10.5 times sine B. Divide by 10.5, divide by 10.5. So that's equal to 6.3 times sine 61 over 10.5. Sine of B. Now, to get rid of the sine, I have to do the inverse. So I'm taking the sine inverse of this entire thing. So the inverse sine of that is 32 degrees. So now I have this is 32 degrees, and now 180 minus 61 minus 32 equals 87 degrees. So that's 87. So a lot of students look at it and say, wow, this is a ton of work, yes. But a lot of it's just computation, using your calculator to go through it. So I encourage you guys to do that. I want to go through one more with you. So this one, they give you the triangle. The next one, they may not give you the triangle. So I want to give you one of those ones where we don't get the triangle with it. They just kind of explain it out like this. So they give you here, and actually I'm going to jump to number 2 because I want you to look at this one. So they give me this. Now it doesn't matter. They give me side, just draw a triangle. We have 3, A, B, C. So they say side A is 35. Well, side A is opposite angle A, so that's 35. Side B is 42. The side opposite of B is side B, so that's 42. And then this would be 50.3. So we need to find the angle measurements. That's what we're looking at. So again, choose your angle that you want. It doesn't matter which one. I'll just start with A because that's the first one. So I know A and A have to be the first and the last. So I'm going to go 35 squared equals my, and again, I just kind of put it in my mind, I'm using first and last has to be the one I'm looking for. So then 50.3 squared plus 42 squared minus 2 times 50.3 times 42 times cosine of angle A. So again, I'm just going to jump to it. So when I go through it, this side is that's 1,225. 50 squared plus 42 squared, or 50.3 squared plus 42 squared is 42. 40. So that squared plus that squared equals that minus, and then 4, or 2 times 53 times 42 equals, oh, there we go, wrong one. Okay, equals 4,225.2 times cosine A. So look at those numbers. So I just, again, jumped ahead. I just computed those two squared, added that. Then I would subtract. So I'm subtracting 4,294.09 minus 4,294.09. So when we go ahead and subtract, we get 3,069.09 negative equals negative 4. And then I'm solving my equation. Divide by negative 4,225.2, negative 4,225.2. When we do that, we get this is equal to 0.726 equals cosine A. Again, anytime I want to find a cosine, I have to do the cosine inverse. So I just take the inverse cosine of 0.726, and this is equal to angle A. In this case, it is 43.3. It says round to the 10th, and that's why we're doing it. So 43.3. Once I have that, then I'm just going to use my law of cosines. So, or excuse me, the law of sines. So once we have that, 43.4. So once we have that, then I just use my law of sines. I'm done using the law of cosines. So law of sines would be sine of 43.4 over the side opposite, 35, equals, we'll go angle B next. So angle B, or actually I did C, so I'll go angle C. So angle C, so sine of angle C over 50.3. Cross multiply, so 50.3 times sine 43.4 equals sine 35 times sine C. I divide by 35. Again, you could do this computation right now. I wait to the end. If I take sine, cosine of a variable, I have to do the sine inverse. So I just do sine inverse, and then I plug this all into my calculator at once. That way I don't have to worry about the rounding issues that come up at times for it. So this is equal to 80.9. And so this is angle C. So 80.9. So then to get angle B, I go 180 minus 43.4 minus 80.9. And so when we get it, we get 55.7 equals angle B. Again, one thing to check, is my longest side is 50.3. My largest angle is opposite, 80.9. My next longest side is 43.4. That's my next, my next largest angle is 55.7, and my next longest side is 42. So you can check that as you go through. So again, the order that we do is we always look, can I use the law of sines? If I can use the law of sines, I go through that first. If that doesn't work out, then we go use the law of cosines. Again, remember that angle, the side, and the angle that's opposite should be the first and last, the kind of the bookends to it.